Hello, and welcome back to the video breakdown series of Isolation and Progress. Within this video, we're gonna go about texturing one of the models in the scene. As you can see, I have all walls kind of hidden away because I have to remodel them since one of their UVs was glitching out and wasn't allowing me to texture it. So I'm going to just go with my plans to continue to texture the table we've modeled and did the UVs for. I already went ahead and textured the table legs as just a little refresher for me. So what I'm going to do is go to object mode. It was still acting like I was modeling. Go to file, export the selection. We're just gonna call it tabletop. Then we're going to go over to Substance Painter, which is now under Adobe, and I did not realize this. Oh well. New project. I'm using V-Ray Metallic Roughness template. Select your file. Excuse my desktop files. And we're just going to press OK. Yeah, let's save this in our project folder, which I have to scroll down to. Now while that's saving, it should load through. And we are ready to start texturing the table. Now for the table legs, I went with a walnut type wood and kind of painted it white. But for this one, I kind of want to see how the other types of wood would look on the material itself for the tabletop. And I cannot really see. Get chest, beach find, and I'm digging the walnut texture of this, so we're going to wait for it to load. And we're going to as soon as I can. Here it is. There it is. Sort of adjust the base color to a nice white. Make it look like the wood was painted white. Delete all the other wood textures we're not going to be using. Close that up. And we're just going to add a quick white mask so we can select the polygons that aren't facing the right way texture-wise. Which would be these. But it is preferable if you use polygon. So just so you don't accidentally bleed into the other which, there we go. It was not cooperating for a minute. Let me just go around, making sure that it looks neat. Oh, that's transparency. We're just going to shrink down the fibers a little bit. As well as other set of fibers. And making sure everything looks nice, and it does. Well, for me, it looks nice. Then we just go back to polygon fill. And something happened. So now we are ready to duplicate this texture and rotate it so we can get the rest of the textures facing the same way. That would make sense for the table. And now there. Okay. Okay. This and now we just invert the mask. And here we have the table top. Now we're just going to export the textures. Give them their own folder to export into. Bring back up Maya. Go into not render setup. Hypershade. Please excuse the mess. And we're just going to pick start plugging in the files. And right now you can see that the tabletop does not match the wooden legs very well. So, that's an easy fix. And also kind of confusing because one is on top of the other, but let's just let that go. So, we start over. We clear out the smart material because it was, well, kind of way too smart and did not achieve the effect we were looking for. So we'll just repeat what I did for the table legs. Give it a color that's in the middle. That's kind of grayish. Give it the masks. Polygon fill. However, we want these to be filled instead. And admittedly, it is kind of hard to tell if your polygons are selected. So now we just duplicate layer. Turn 90 degrees. And invert the mask. And then we go ahead, export this, and compare. Yep. So now you'll see we got the nice, just based off the diffuse alone, it's getting there. You got the grain, but it's still lacking in color. So we just nudge it ever so slightly over to give it a nice little orange tint. Export them again. Now it would be much simpler to texture the legs and the tabletop together at the same time. And admittedly that would have been a lot faster. However, I wanted to save part of it for the breakdown video. Because you can never be... You know what? It's getting close. A little too orange, so we just bump it up slightly. And a much easier way to have done this was just to write down the color values, but I'm stubborn. And I'm sorry that you have to live through my stubbornness. And there we go, we finally have the correct color. Now we can get back to plugging everything in. So, use roughness. We're going to be putting the roughness map in the reflection color. And it's going to take a second to load everything in. Roughness. Input the metalness, which even though wood itself is not metallic, metalness does help give it some that wood not texture, that's kind of redundant, graininess. Oh, that's the temporary textures I had in place while lighting. And it effectively cancels out the metalness too. Bump maps. There it is. And I'm just comparing over here to make sure I got everything covered. Yep. Unfortunately, not all of the maps are going to be used. However, there hasn't been any problems with that in the V-Ray frame buffer, which I will pull up over here. They look and light exactly as how you would expect wood to light and act. Thank you for excuse me for coughing. Thank you for watching this video. And good night.